Hello friends, welcome to the ReactJS course. So as you all know, ReactJS is the most favored and most wonderful framework in JavaScript which can take your career to new heights. So it is the most in demand and it will be in demand for the next 5 to 10 years. So nothing can replace it. If you know ReactJS, so what is ReactJS? ReactJS is a JavaScript library and not a framework like Angular. So how it is different from Angular? Angular is a complete framework. See, in Angular what happens, the learning curve is also very much. So Angular takes a lot of time to learn because it's a complete framework, and React is just a JavaScript library and not a framework. It has got very less learning curve, and whatever you want to add to it, you can add to it with external npm modules and all. So it doesn't even have a router, you have to add it. It doesn't even have HTTP calling capabilities, you have to add it. It doesn't have a central state management, you have to add it. So all those things you have to add it. Not just like Angular, it has got an HTTPS module to do the fetch request and all. So those will come on later on. So it is a library, just a very lightweight library, but that's where the power of React comes in. So because of that, it requires very less time to learn and it is super powerful. So it is used to build user interfaces and focuses on the UI. Main focus is on the UI. It has a very rich ecosystem. You can find additional functionality with the help of thousands of available npm packages. As I was telling, you want to add React router, add it. You want to add some functionality. I have an app called Tinder app. For that also there is a npm module. You can just add an npm module and you will get the swipe functionality of Tinder. So they have app for everything. They have these npm packages for everything. So now, why learn React.js? So it is created and maintained by Facebook, as everybody knows. It is totally open source, so it has more than 157k stars on GitHub. If you want to see the code of React, you will see whole code of React. Huge community, means tons of articles, and Stack Overflow solution, which is a must for a developer. The Stack Overflow solutions are a must because when you go into production, you will be stuck somewhere and then you will search, and the solution will be found in Stack Overflow only. And they have a lot. There is a lot of solution. Whenever you are stuck, just ask on Google. It will take you to a Stack Overflow link and you will find the solution. This is the most demanded skills to get a front-end developer job. Yeah, it is, and it will be for the next 10 years. Okay, and beside that, React Native, which is a mobile app development, is completely based on React. So it won't take you much to learn React Native if you know React.js well. It is exactly based on React.js. Only some of the things are different, like instead of div there is something else. So all those things are there, but it is very easy if you know React. And first it is told to learn React.js only, then go to React Native. Okay, so then it has got a component based architecture. So everything is divided into components. Suppose this is a big application is there. So suppose it's a video search application. We have a video player, title, and all those things. So what we'll do, we'll divide it into different components. Like search will be one component, video titles will be other components, YouTube type of layer, video player will be another component. So this is how we work on React. So then there is a concept of virtual DOM, although it is always behind the scene, but you should know this much, that this is a lightweight representation of real DOM. So anyone who knows JavaScript knows that we work with the DOM. Okay, document object model. If you don't know, learn a bit on Mozilla Developer Network. So it is known as in React we work on virtual DOM, which is a lightweight representation. It is not the real DOM. So whenever we update something, the virtual DOM get updated, and behind the scene the real DOM get updated. That is one of the reason React is so fast means, and that is why it is preferred by all the startups, big companies, product based company. Because in big web apps, so what happens in a web app like Facebook, what happens, even a millisecond counts, because they get tons of, means more than 1 million requests per second. So that's why it counts, and that's why Facebook started with React to solve their own problem, and then it becomes and then they made it into a open source thing, and then it is solving the world app problems. So when a state or something is changed in virtual DOM, changes are only in the object in the real DOM instead of updating all the objects. So only that much is updated. So that is what means virtual DOM. So Prerequisite. Prerequisite is that HTML, CSS and JavaScript fundamental. JavaScript fundamentals are very important because we use JavaScript throughout it, and even ES6 are very important because we use a lot of ES6 in ReactJS. So in JavaScript, what you should know more, this keyword you should know, that this keyword, because it is using class-based component. Map you should know, reduce you should know, filter you should know. And in ES6, what you should know, you should know let and const, arrow function, template literals, default parameters, object literals, rest and spread operator, and destructuring. We'll use all of them in React, literally all of them. Okay, so let's get started, and we will create a new project. Okay, we'll create a new project, and we'll do so. For React installation, we here create React app. So we do through a create React app, which is created by Facebook. So this is the npm type of module, and create React app we do through it. So it is written here. So nowadays we do it through, earlier we used to install it globally, but nowadays everything has changed. We are using npx. Npx is the latest type of npm in which you don't have to install any dependencies. So npx create React app, and my app you will give, and you will it will be done. Okay, so globally things doesn't work nowadays. So if you have that global thing, you have to uninstall it, as they are saying. So npx only is the way to create a React app. Okay, so and then just you have to npm start, and all the dependencies, Babel and all those dependencies which is running behind the hood, they're all installed by npx. Okay, so let's not waste much time, and we will come here, and as they have told, npx create React app. Let's call it hello world, and actually it takes some time to create, so you have to wait for that. Okay, I want to tell one more thing. See, React only one thing is required, and that is your React only one thing is required, and that is known as npm. So npm is required. Okay, so npm, which version is required? So npm -v and node -v. So something in this range you require to run a React app. Means I have a higher version, but they are telling that npx come with npm 5.2 plus, so you have to be 5.2 plus. I am 6.14, so I can run it. So see, it generally takes 5 to 10 minutes, so it is completed now, and now we just need to go to hello world and start it with our VS Code. So I am starting it with VS Code, and then as they are telling, I have to do a npm start. So let's do the npm start also. Now we will go to the basic structure, what this create React app does for us. We'll go through that basic structure. Okay, so it shows like this, and now let us see the basic structure of a React app. So this is what is opened, and so the first thing, so let us look into this files. So what is this package.json file? Package.json have got all the dependencies with React app. So name and all these things are done. Start scripts, npm start, which you ran this script actually, and all the dependencies which is there, testing dependencies, and all these things are there in the package.json. The main dependencies are these two, React and React DOM. They are required for a React project. So these were the main dependencies. Then a log file is generally created, and then git ignore is there. Git ignore is very important file. because React also depends on node modules a lot. So this node module, if it goes to GitHub, it will fill your GitHub. So in something like when you work on a node project, what happens, you generally what you do, you generally have to add a git ignore by yourself, but here React is doing that for us. Create React app and we have a node modules here. Okay, so this is like that. And then there is a usual readme. When you add this project in a GitHub, it will show in your GitHub. This readme will be shown, so it is in the markdown. And node modules, I've already told, all the node modules related to it are stored, and there is a lot of it. Because of this, the size of a React app is huge. So now let's understand some main thing, means what's the, how a React app starts. Let's understand that thing. Okay, so for that, what we have to do, so there are a lot of files which are not required actually, which are created, but this all circle, this all thing, logo and all are coming from that files only. But our React project start from this index.js file actually. So this index.js file, it start, and what it is telling that ignore this report writer and all these things, we can ignore. It is importing React and React DOM and some styles also it is doing from index.css, and some styles also it is taking. And React DOM not rendered, this is very important. It is rendering, means it is a different type of code, means not even the code which we are going to write, but a totally different kind of code. But it means this thing that React DOM dot render is there, the app will be getting rendered. Okay, the app will be rendered, and the app will, where will be the app rendered? App will be rendered by, this is a JavaScript type of a code, document.getElement by id root. So this just means that app will be rendered in the root. We'll see the app soon, but let us first see what is this document.getElement by id root. What is this root? Okay, so this root is there in, if you come to this public folder, there is something known as index.html. If you come here, actually this public folder is only shown in the site, but our whole React app is been rendered actually here, div id of root. The whole React app, whatever we are going to code, the whole React app is rendered here, div id of root. So this root we are doing document.getElement by id by root. So this line means that get the document get element by id, again a JavaScript thing, by root it is a id root, and add all the app, whatever is in this app, I'll add all of this thing in this app. So even if you come here and right click it and see it, see this id of root is there, and everything has been done there. Okay, so this is the idea of root. So now see the index.html also. Now we will see the app.js. So everything is a JS in here. So here from the index.js, this app has been rendered. So app is, it's a functional component which we are soon going to see what it is. But if you can see that image src logo, this logo, it is been shown by here. This all the things, learn React is been shown by here, a link. So all the thing which is here, this only has been shown in our app. So this is all about our React app. So now we know the structure of the React app, and it has also got a CSS file. Okay, like this, all the styles. So now it's time to look again into some slide, and we'll understand a bit more. Okay, so now we will come here, and okay, so now what is, as I have told earlier, React is a component based architecture. So component are the main building block of React. Component describes a part of the user interface where we divide the entire app into parts or component, as I have told. Okay, so now there are two types of components. One is a stateless functional component. Okay, this is the first type. First type is the functional component, which is nothing but a JavaScript function, just like C, you are seeing this, and even the app.js we have seen is, it's a stateless functional component. So one of the main thing to know is that it doesn't have a state. But wait a sec, functional React was actually introduced around 2015. Okay, so around 2010 9 means React 16.3. React 16.3. Okay, React 16.3 actually it came around in they introduced this thing, but it came around in 2019 around. Okay, so React 16.3 came and it changed everything in React. Literally it changed everything in React because it was a major change. What it did, earlier the functional component were stateless component, but it made the major change. Now functional component also have state through hooks, so they are not functionless anywhere, but everything is backward compatible. So React didn't make the mistake with which Angular did in 2012 when the Angular version 2 came, and it was not backward compatible with the earlier version, and because of that Angular suffered a lot. But React didn't make that mistake, and now also class-based component works fully well. Means I have worked in older projects which currently also work, and it didn't broke anything. You can make functional hooks based component also and all, but these hooks and all those things we'll look into later on, because it is very important to learn the class based component first. Because what if you start a new project, work in an old project, then you have to use the class based component. So right now we will think of as functional component and stateless component, or we will not use state in functional component as of now. Not stateless component, but we will not use state in it as of now. So the second type of component is stateful class based component. They are there since 2015 when React was introduced, and they have ES6 classes which extend React component. See the class keyword, class welcome extend React.component, extends React.component internal thing. It is also important to have a render in it. So this render function is very important in it, which actually returns the HTML. They have a concept of state, and actually they introduce the concept of state. So what we are going to do, we are going to move forward and see these things in code. Okay, so as I have told earlier, this app.js itself is a functional component, but let's make some more functional because we generally don't work on the app.js. From app.js we reference the component as we create component in React. So here we'll first create a folder in src called components, like this. This is the structure which we generally follow, and then we'll do a greet.js. Okay, greet.js we'll do, and there is a short form, and I want all of you to use that short form, and for that you have to install this code snippet, this ES7 Redux graphical React Native snippet you need to install. And with that, what happens, there is a skeleton for everything, so we can use the skeleton code. Okay, so if I do RFC, okay, it is not coming, RAFC, okay, it is coming. Okay, so RFC I have done, I got the skeleton. It is known as skeleton code, and this is the code for a functional component. See, it is starting with import React from React. It is important. Then it is exporting a functional component, arrow based component. I will recommend to use arrow based component. You can use ordinary component also, like function app also. I can use function greet also I can use, but I will highly recommend to use arrow based component. Okay, from ES6, and we just return something, and whatever we return, it will be shown here. And this is known as JSX, and we'll learn about it more later on, but something like this. And I can do anything here. Let me pass a h1 and let me do a hello world. Okay, save it, and then I'll come back to app.js. Okay, let me clear all this thing because we don't need all of this thing. And header is okay, and I will take this greet. Okay, this greet I will include. So like this we include a component greet, but the thing is that we have to import it also. So how will we import it? So import greet from components. So why I'm doing dot components, because we have to go one level up. No, not one level up, it is in the same level, so that's a dot components, and then slash greet like this. I have to import it. Okay, I don't have to use the JS, just like this, and greet I will do. Save it, and let me go back, and the hello world is being shown in the center. I'm not removed this, some of the styles are coming from here, and style generally we give it at normal CSS styles only. So this is how the functional component is added. Okay, one more thing to note here is that this we are importing it in a different way, and this type of import we generally don't use nowadays. We use something known as default export. So this is export, we don't do like this, we call it something as default export. So we'll change it, we'll do a export default greet, export default greet we'll do. This is known as default export, and this is the thing which we are going to use. So if you are going to use it like that, what happens in the greet, we don't have to use curly brackets anymore. And so that earlier kind of export we generally only do when we have 2-3 exports from the same file, which we generally don't have. So we'll do like this only greet. Let me save it, and if I come here and refresh it also, nothing will happen. So it will work like the same. Okay, so these are all about functional component. Now we will create one class based component. Okay, as we have seen, so we will create one class based component. So the class based component, let us call it welcome.js, and again we'll use a shortcut which is known as RCC, and press the tab, and or you can write it all also. And as I have told, we do export default, but generally this shortcut gives a bit different type of syntax. This also we can use, but we generally use export default at the bottom. So always do this export default welcome if we are using that thing, that shortcut and that extension. So see here, it's totally different from this import react component. So we are doing this curly bracket thing, means from react, from where it is importing, it is exporting it in the earlier way. So import react component from react, class welcome from extends component. As I have told, it uses class based component, class based thing. So extends, it is using the extends keyword is there, inheritance, the thing which you might have learned sometime in Java, it is there in JavaScript also. So only that it inherits a lot of things from them. Maybe the render function and all comes from there, because the render function is nothing in class. So this render function is very important here. So here there is no render function, but there is a render function, and it is to do because we have something known as state also. So it re-renders this thing. So that's why render function is required, and inside render function the return is there, just like the return is here, the return is here also in the render function. Okay, so anything which we do here, it will be done. So let's make it a paragraph tag, and let's write it welcome to the world of React. Save it, and let me go back, and now we have to include it, and we'll include it welcome. Okay, and let me now do the welcome the same way. So welcome is there, save it and go back. See, welcome to the world of React is typing. So this is what a class based component and a functional component is. Okay, so let us look into one more thing before we complete this unit. Okay, so that is again a bit of, let us look into the functional what is a functional component, and what is a class based component, what is the difference. Before moving forward, we'll look into some difference in the both. And one thing to notice is that these statements are again not completely true, because the functional component have changed a lot because of hooks in the past 2 years, but everything is backward compatible, as I have told. So and we are going to learn class-based component first. So you can learn about this. Like functional component, simple function, use func component as much as possible, and in today's scenario use it everywhere. If you create a new project, you should not use a class-based component. Absence of this keyword, this was one of the main reason that React is moving toward functional component. This keyword is still very confusing in JavaScript world, and even in React. We will soon see in the class-based component. Solution without using a set, which is not completely true again. Mainly responsible for UI, yeah it is. Stateless, dumbness, presentational, which is again not completely true. So this is like that. And then functional versus class-based component, which is continuous. So class-based component more feature rich, okay, functional are also more feature rich nowadays. Maintain their own private data state, which again the function also do complex UI logic. Yeah, one thing is there, the UI logic is very complex. If we compare it with the functional component, even with hooks, the logic is a bit more complicated here. Okay, and this provides lifecycle hooks also. Yeah, lifecycle hooks are again another thing which makes class-based component a bit complicated, but you have to know lifecycle hooks, lifecycle method or hooks, if you want to know how we can make it easy in functional component. Okay, and stateful, smart, and container. Okay, so that is there. And now I have written a bit about hooks, because hooks are everywhere. Hooks are the cool things. Hooks are the thing which you should use when you create a project. So we will learn some features about it, although we completely we'll learn some features about it, although we can completely ditch the class component now, but it is not advisable, as most of the old code base, even a code which started around 2019 also, hook was not adopted so early by the industry. It took around 2020 and for the industry to take hook seriously and use it in all the new projects. So even if something started in the beginning of 2020, it started with class-based component, it will still go in class-based component. And most the developers they are still using class-based component only. Okay, so that is like that. And so as I've told, no breaking changes, completely opt-in and 100% backward compatible. As I've told, you can make a class-based component also, you can make a hook-based functional component also, you can use a dumb functional component also. Everything is possible. So brings two powerful features of the class, which is state and lifecycle method to functional component. That's a very important thing. This were the two things which are missing in the functional component, and that's why they were called dumb components also. And state and lifecycle methods are now in the functional component, and they are much easier to implement. We'll soon see. Should be learned after state, event writing, and lifecycle method in class. Okay, so what is JSX? As we have seen earlier also, so JSX is the extension of JavaScript language syntax. Okay, so it is we write a XML like code for elements and component. So, and JSX tags have a tag name, attribute, children. JSX is not necessary to write React application, and we will see this why it is not necessary to write React applications. JSX makes React code simpler and elegant. Okay, so and JSX is ultimately transferred into pure JavaScript, which is understand by the browser. So when JSX comes, it is a bit difficult type of syntax for React, just because in React just what we are doing, the HTML and JavaScript we are putting in the same file. So it is different from Angular, which we have different files for different things. So HTML is different, JSX is different, but here JS and HTML are in the same thing. So JSX, if you understand in the layman term, it is something like this JSX is HTML, combination of HTML and JavaScript. So let's get started. And okay, and we will do one thing. We will create a new component. Okay, so I think this is only good. Okay, so we'll create a new component known as hello.js. Oh, it is wrong, this is not comma, rename. Okay, hello.js, and let me make it a functional only, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this hello.js is there, and just like div h1, so we have seen this example earlier also. Hello Nabindu is there, right? So this is JSX. So this is JSX. So we are writing, actually HTML inside a JavaScript file. .js is a JavaScript file. Okay, so this is there, and now what I'm going to do means actually when React was released in 2015, JSX was not there. There is something known as create element in React, the first version, and it was very much complicated. So that's why they had gone through this JSX. So how it was, let us see. As we have seen here also, JSX is not necessary to write a React application. So let me comment this out. Okay, and also let us go, and it is React dot create. See, create element is there, React dot create element, and the same code I am going to change. Okay, so the same code, if I am going to change it, is I have to give the h1 comma null comma hello Nabendu. I have to give, okay, and okay, not it is comma hello Nabendu. So this is the equivalent of exactly same thing. Let me save it. Actually I have to import it, so let me go back here, let me comment this out, and let me do the hello component. Okay, hello component is done. Let okay, this is not running. Okay, let me run it. Interior terminal only, let me run it. Okay, npm start. Indicator terminal is by Control J in Windows. Okay, so it will open. Okay, it is giving me that render is not there. Okay, okay, render is not there. Okay, got it. Actually I got it. The thing is that it requires a class based component. Okay, my bad, it doesn't require a class based component. See, this is not a complete code. Actually it's require a return statement and all those things are there, and actually it contains a div first and then actions. I only did for the actions. So see how complicated it is. So let me do the complete thing. Return React dot create element, we have to do again, and then after that we will let us make it in different line. Div, then div null means it doesn't have any ID or something. So if you add the ID or something, it will get even more complicated. Okay, so I'm not showing that null, and then actually this one will go up, and let me do this and me save it. Now if I can see hello Navendu is printing. So this only means this much code which we did, it was so difficult with this React.create element. Okay, so difficult. So that's why we don't prefer this, and this is how means JSX was earlier before JSX, and JSX makes it so much easier. And if I, as I have told, if I had ID or something, it will become even more complicated. So and JSX, there are some other things also in JSX which we should know, which is the in JSX the class become class name. It should be small. Class become class name. For these are for HTML tags. For become HTML for, and convention is camel case. So on click, so the normal on click, so this is JavaScript on click, become the on click camel case. Tab index become tab index. So this is what JSX differences are. So now this we'll see once we do everything, because we cannot use class inside HTML tag like div or something, because there is already a class based components are there, so that is the reason. Okay, so now next we will move to props in React.js, which it's actually there are two main important concepts in React.js. The most main important concept are props and states. So we will look into the first one first. Props we will look. Okay, so let me go back, and here I will come, and hello, I am going to do this. I don't need it now. Welcome also I don't need it. So this greet is there. Okay, so right now greet was just a plain so this is from our previous example. So greet, just it was printing hello world. So we can pass something to it. The props are nothing but the value passed to the components. Okay, so in simple words it is that only. So in greet I will give name equal to JavaScript. Okay, so similarly let's give some more. Name equal to Golang, name equal to Shift. So different languages I am giving. Okay, so this is what props is, means this is what passing props means. So the name is the name of the prop name. Okay, so let me save it, and then in a greet what I can have props and h1, and let us also see what is this props. CLG props, there, what is this props? Okay, and h1 hello props dot name. So we'll do this, and let me save it, and let me go back. So hello JavaScript, hello Golang, hello Shift, it is coming. But how it is coming, let us see that. Inspect and console. If I go and refresh it, see JavaScript. So what does this props have? So this is the keyword which we have to give here, props, and console log props means it is an object, actually name JavaScript, name Golang, and name Shift. So it is an object which get passed here. So that's why we have to do props.name. And but this name can be anything. This is not required to have name. It can be item or anything. Whatever is required, you can give it anything. Means whatever is relevant, you can give it. So this is how props work in a simple simple functional component. Okay, so next we have another type of props also. They are known as children props. Okay, so in children what happens, see here I have a self closing tag. Okay, so instead of the self closing tag I can have something like this type. Okay, it is a lot of HTML element like h1 and all, div and all are like this. Okay, so like this I will do, and I will write language of the web, and in Shift I will write language of iOS, save it, and now if I come here and I will do this h1, let this h1 be there. Okay, this h1 let it be there, and I will write a p tag, and in that I will write props dot children. So this thing doesn't have any name, just it is known as children, props dot children. If you do a console log, it will get that, but it is also giving us an error, and that is JSX expression must have one parent error. This is a very important error, because JSX, there is a rule that it cannot start with the h1 and it is starting with an and p. So see here it is starting with a div and ending with a div. So one thing is that we wrap everything in a div, but there is a better thing is there where it is known as React fragment, which is like this, and but it means nothing. It is something like a span. It doesn't add something, some row level element. So the problem with div is that div is a row level element. So if you add it in the code, in production level code or in bigger code, what happens, it adds in the code, and what it happens, it will add a new row. So sometimes it breaks the CSS. So that's why you should prefer fragment, which means nothing, just a span type of a thing, okay, which doesn't have anything means. So let me save it, and so let us see this how it is coming. So let's go back here, let me actually do it, and then again do it. See, now the props is coming. See, by default children is there, you don't have to name it children, means it is by default, it is there. Whatever you put inside the brackets, it is children, language of the web and language of the iOS, and it is coming here also. So this is known as children. Okay, so now the next thing which we are going to do, we are going to use props within our class based component. Okay, so grid is there and all. Let me bring this here, and let grid be there, and let me remove this, and welcome. Let me show both of the thing at once, means name equal to Flutter. Let me show the children thing also, because the concept is same. Okay, so language for cross platform mobile apps. Okay, so this is done, and then again welcome name, let me give it React Native. Okay, and so this is self closing, and let me give another name equal to Java maybe, and we can have something else also inside it. It is not required that some just a string or something is there. We can have anything here actually inside. Button, and button will be anything. Click for Java. Click for Java is there. So let me save it. Okay, and now we have to use it here. Okay, so let me come here, and see, there is nothing like argument here. So there was argument, they were passing props. So in class base there is nothing like that. So the way to use it is with the this operator, this keyword. Okay, so let me do a div here this time, because again we are going to have something. We can have a fragment also, but let me have a div here, and then I will have h1 similar to there. I will have a h1, and this h1 will be welcome. Let's have the welcome. This dot props dot name. This dot props dot name, and there will be a paragraph tag, and this will be having. So this keyword get attached, this dot props dot children, like this will get attached, and let me save it. And if we come back, see, welcome Flutter, and the children got printed, welcome React Native, welcome Java, and there is a button also there. So this is how props work. Hope it is clear. And now we will go to the next important topic in React, which is the state. Okay, so state will go. So let us go to the state. So before the state, there is a difference between props and state. Let us quickly understand that. So props, what are props? Props gets passed to component like function parameter. Props are immutable, means we cannot change them. Props are functional. Props means in functional component we will write props. Class based component will write this dot props. So state, and state is simply, state is managed within the component. It doesn't go outside. So it is to props to pass data between component. Okay. So like variable declare. So this like means it is similar to like the variable declared in the function body, maybe like that. State can be changed. Okay, use state hook for functional component. This we will look into our hook part. So now we are only looking into the class based React. Okay, and this dot state in class component. So let's move to the code and understand it better. Okay, so as I have told, we will look into the class based only. So most of the component we create now will be the class based only. So let me go here and create a new component. This component will be called counter.js. Okay, counter.js, and it will be a class based component. Okay, class based component. Export default counter. Okay, and this will have constructor also. The state generally require a constructor, so this will have this constructor, and see this is the boilerplate which comes with the shortcut. And this dot state, so state is always declared with this dot state equal to this. Okay, and then we can have anything as a state. So this is actually an object. Okay, this is an object. We'll write then count of 0 like this. Okay, so since it is an object, we can write like this, count of 0. So this is an object, this is the key, this is the value. So count is having a value of 0, and then inside this return, let us have this return will just can display it, count is this dot state dot count, this dot state dot count. So this dot state will give this whole object, and to get the key of it, this dot state dot count. As simple as that. Let me save it, but it will not display because I have to go back and let me comment this all out and have only counter, hoping it will get, yeah, actually we should comment this also, they give unnecessary warnings. Okay, so this is done, and let me save it and go back. See, count of 0 it is showing. Okay, so this is showing count of 0, and now this is a state. This is how we do state. So now we will see set state. Okay, so what is set state? This is very important concept and sometimes a bit confusing for people who are new in React. So this is, till this it is okay, but this set state is very important to understand. So let us do that, and first let me wrap everything in a fragment because we are soon going to have a button. So I have wrapped everything in a fragment, and then I am going to have a button. Okay, so button is there, and I want to change this state on the click of the button. So button will be written increment, and the button will have a on click handler, on click equal to this dot increment count. So this is not increment count, this is not increment count, it is actually a function. So this is how we call a function from inside it. This dot increment count, this function we have to do. So we'll come here and increment count, and so we use set state like this dot set state we will do, and then after that in this parameter, in this we'll pass an object. So this is like this, in this parameters will pass an object to it. Okay, and then we will change the state, and state will be changed like count equal to this dot state dot count plus 1. Okay, and sometime it's better to give it in next line because this is how it looks much better. Okay, this is not a state because objects obviously look like this. So how we are changing this count object. So count, again you have to give like this, like key value pair means count will be changed with this dot state dot count. Whatever is the current count is, this is state dot count plus 1. So this is how it is got, it will be changed. So let me save it, and counter is there. Okay, let me open one thing more, inspect. I want to show something. Okay, so let me click it, but we get a big error that cannot read properties at state of undefined. Okay, we will learn about this error a bit more in the later part of the chapter and later part of this tutorial. Okay, so right now it is that this generally creates a lot of problem in React, and that was the main reason React was moving to functional side, functional based with React hooks. So we have to bind this in such cases, because right now the main problem is that this is not defined. So that's why we are getting this error. So to bind this, what we need to do, there are 4 ways which we are going to learn soon. So the first way, the simplest way is that in the constructor we'll have to do this, not the simplest way, but this is actually the oldest way. This dot increment count equal to this dot increment count dot bind this. This dot increment count dot bind this. Binding this to bind, it means binding this to this increment count function. So now let me save it. Let me go back, increment, and it is incrementing properly. So this is done. So this is working. So this line is required. So but okay, everything is okay, but why this set state is required, someone will ask. Can't we directly increment it? Yeah, let's try to increment it directly, and let me comment this out. Let me increment it directly. Why do you use this dot state dot, so this is an object, so this is dot state dot count object. I will directly do, and equal to this dot state dot count plus 1. Why can't I do this directly? CLG console log is this dot state dot count. I will do. Okay, so this is done. So now let me save it, and let me close it, and then I will increment it. See, the count has become 1. See, the counter become 2, counter become 3, counter become 4, counter become 5. But see, this is not increasing. So actually count value is 5, but this is not incrementing. Why this is not incrementing? This is because in React what happens whenever the re-render of the components, so this render function you are saying, re-rendering is very important. Then only this will be shown again, and this is one of the power of React, to re-render components, and that's why it is so much powerful in comparison to vanilla JavaScript. So what will happen in this case? So this re-rendering doesn't happen. So re-rendering, there are 2-3 ways to re-rendering to happen. One of the way is when you set the state, this dot set state we do, the re-rendering happens. So that's why it is very much important. So let me comment this out. This is not possible, and let me do this, and also let me move this inside. Okay, this cannot be moved inside, my bad. Okay, so because this is an object anyways, so this is like this. Let me save it, and let us come back, refresh it once, and 1, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But quickly, you should observe one thing. See, 5 is there, 6 it becomes 6, but it is 5. So that is one step behind. So why it is one step behind? So it is one step behind because the set state are async. So the state is this console runs before the state is set. They are very asynchronous type of function. It won't, the React won't stop for anything. So the moment this dot set state is done, as I have told you that this dot set state is done, then this render runs. Okay, this render runs, but before that this console log happens. So the state actually get changed, and it is shown in the DOM, it is shown in the browser, but we are getting this only, this is state only. So in many cases what happens, we need to run something immediately after this set state is done, before even the render is done, and this is one such case. So in that, what we need to do, I'll show you this. Let me take it, cut it, and we can pass a second parameter here, like comma, and function we are calling it here, and we can do anything here. And a lot of type in production code this is required, and this I will do. Let me save it, and now let me go back. 1 1 2 2 3 4 6. So it is updating at the same time. Okay, so this is how it is done in such cases. Okay, so now so this is one case. Now we will see one more very important scenario in set state. Okay, that is very important, and that scenario is, suppose I have a function. Okay, increment 5 times. I have a function. Let me write that function first. Increment 5 times, increment 5 times is there, and this dot increment count, it is just calling this dot increment count, and let it call 5 times increment count. This is called 5 times. Actually I don't need this also now, because what I am going to do here, I am not going to call increment count. Here I am going to call the increment type 5 times, but again I don't want to do that bind thing, and we are soon going to see this thing. Again I could have do the bind thing, but there is another way, and this is again one of those 4 ways which we are going to see soon. So we can directly call it with the arrow function, actually like this we can call it. Okay, so now save it, and now let me go back here, refresh it. Now what is there means, the moment I do this dot increment 5 times, it should call it 5 times, and it should get incremented means 5 times. So let me go back here, and let me do this. So see, it ran 6 times and it got incremented to 1 only. Again 1 2 3, it ran so many times, but it is getting incremented that much time. So why does this happen? So this happens because React does some performance thing. When it is seeing that so many times we are doing this set state, so it multiple set state means whenever we do this set state will run. So for performance thing, it group them together, and it is done only one time. So for in this cases, we need to update the state based on the previous state, and that is a different format we need to do. And you first get remove this thing. Okay, so that format is that we need to pass a function as an argument instead of this regular. So object we are passing, no, we will pass a function as an argument instead of the regular object. And then we will modify our code to use the previous state instead of the current state. So previous state is very much required in this thing. So like this, so we are passing a function means prev state like this, and then this is an arrow function, and this whole will be called like this. Okay, and inside of this count, instead of this dot state dot count, what we are going to do, prev state dot count I am going to do, save it, and now let me come back, refresh, increment, object, some issue I am getting. Let me see what is the issue. Okay, my bad, it is previous state. This is state.count is there, so my previous state dot count. Okay, so previous state dot count is there. Let me save it. Now let me go back, and it is already refreshed. See, 6 actually. Let me refresh it first. 6, 12, like this. It is incrementing. It is incrementing perfectly. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so now what we are going to do, actually we have 6 times, that way it is 6 times. Well, let me save it again, because we should have 5 only, because this, it is telling increment 5 times. So 5. Okay, so it is perfect now. So this is done. The set state and all of that. Please go to this topic again, because this is a very complicated topic for especially the people who are getting into React. So please go through it again. Okay, so now what we are going to see, we are going to see a bit of destructuring first. Okay, so destructuring is actually, it is not technically required, but if you go to any company or any code you will do, people do a lot of destructuring. So this is the ES6 concept which is used heavily in React. So let me again do this, and first we'll see functional component destructuring. Okay, so like this, and let me comment this out. Let me uncomment grid. Okay, let me save it, and let me see whether it is coming. Yeah, it is coming fine. Okay, so destructuring means this. See, this props we are passing here. So there are two structure to functionally destructure in a functional component. So first thing is that instead of, so let me remove this, it is not required. So instead of this props, we can directly destructure it here, object, because that is an object and it has got two things. So name, that we should know, because name comma children, it has got these two things. We directly destructure it. Now we can use the short form. So this is what destructuring is about. We don't even have to use this props keyword, and props.children we have to do. Let me save it, and when you come back and if we refresh, nothing will change and it will work perfectly. So this is what first method of destructuring is in a functional component. Okay, so the second method of destructuring in a functional component is that, so we will not destructure it here, and this also we'll see a lot of places, and let it be props only, and we'll do object destructuring below. And object destructuring we'll do like const this equal to props. You can do like this, save it, and refresh it, working similarly. So this is known as object destructuring, is this kind of way. So we directly we can do it here also and there also. Means most people do it here in a functional component, and like here also a lot of people do. So these are the two ways. Okay, now we will look into the class based component. Actually in the class based component there is only one way to do it, because we are not passing anything in the argument or something. So let us do that, and for that let me come back again, and let me comment this out. So I have commented this out, and let me again comment this out and save it. So it is, yeah, it is coming like this. So now I will go to the welcome, and as I have told, there is no argument or something we are passing, so we will do it here like this, const name children. Before the render, it is very important, before the render, no, not before the render, that is very important. inside the render we have to do. Inside the render we'll do function name equal to this dot props. We have to do this dot props. We have to do, and then see here it is much bigger name. This dot props dot name we will remove. This dot props dot children I am removing. So these two things I am removing. Let me save it and let me go back, and it doesn't change and it is working perfectly. So this is how destructuring is done. Quite easy concept. And now, as I've told earlier, we'll do a bit of event handling, means that why that binding and all those things were coming. So we will do that. So let's start from the start in that thing. Okay, so in app.js I don't need any of them now, but I will keep them because for your reference anyways this will be there in the GitHub. Okay, so let us create another component known as maybe welcome. Welcome.js. Okay, welcome.js is already there. So anything. Okay, function event.js. function event.js I will create RFC. A simple functional component is there, and inside it suppose I want to add a event, means event handling. How I do a simple button event handling, we are not even changing it. So button is there, on click will also be there. So on click is the how to we do event handling, and click on click. So see, it is a camel case as I told earlier. So in a functional we'll have handle click. So we don't have this keyword and all. So that's why functional components are so popular. Handle click will be there, and then we will call a function. Let's call a normal function handle click and clg button clicked. Save it and save it, and function event okay, it was done. So nothing, a button will be there, and am I consoling the log? Yeah, I'm consoling the log. Okay, so button click is coming. So nothing. So this is how a normal event handling is done in a functional component. Okay, so the same thing we will look into how to do it in a class based component. So let me write it, class events.js and rcc so export default class events. Okay, so this is done, and again we will have a button on click. Yeah, it will have this dot maybe we call it handle click me is there, and then handle click clg button clicked from class based, and then save it. Yeah, so just like this it is done in a class based. Come back refresh it, and but oh, I have not even added it. That's fine. Okay, no problem. Save it, come back, click me, button click from class base. So no issues are there. See, but the real issue will come now. The real issue, we have seen the real issues come back when we have some state and all. Okay, so then the real issues come back. Okay, so let us actually create another function and we will work on this function. We'll create a class based now, because this main issues comes in a class based only, and we are going to see the, as I have told earlier, we are going to see class based first before moving to your functional based component with hooks. Okay, so let us do that, and event bind.js is there, and then this is RCC export default event bind is there, and then I will also have a rconst is again a shortcut. Okay, this dot state will be also be there, and it will be message hello world. Okay, hello world is there, and div is there. Inside the div I will have a, let me have a p tag, and it will have a this dot state dot message. Okay, and similarly I will have a button. Okay, button I will have, and on click will be having this dot handle click function will be there, handle click, which we are soon going to create, and then click will be there. So now this is there, and now let us create the handle click. Handle click, and we'll change the state like that, like the thing I have told, this dot state message I will change as message as hello JavaScript. Hello JavaScript, let me change it like this, hello JavaScript. This dot state will do the messages hello JavaScript. Let me save it now, and let us okay, event bind, we have not even done event bind, so let me come here and do the event bind, and it will come, event bind will come, yeah, it is coming. So let me save it, and let me come back here, and okay, hello world is coming, because by default hello world is there, and when I click it I want it to be, I am doing it the changing it to hello JavaScript. Okay, so save it, and again the same error will come, that cannot read properties, set state of undefined. This we have got in the previous thing also, and as I told earlier, there are 4 ways to do this, because, and this error occurs because this keyword is undefined. Actually this keyword is undefined, so this error occurs because of that. So the first way is to use the bind in the render method. So this method we have not seen, bind in the render method when we call the handle click. So this is like button dot on click is there, this dot handle click dot bind this. So this means bind this with the thing. Okay, before this I want to show one more thing. Let me not do this. Okay, this dot state is this. I want to show one thing, that I was telling that this is undefined. Okay, so clg, let us do this this only, because as I have told, it is occurring because of this. Okay, this I have done. Let me save it, and console, I don't want this, I want to remove this. Okay, so like now I am clicking, so where is my, okay, it will give this error. One second, let me remove this also. Okay, so this is undefined, as it is saying that this is undefined. Okay, so let me put it back. Okay, so the first way which we are going to solve this is this dot handle click. We will having the bind here only, this dot handle click dot bind this. So it means binding this with the handle click function. So the problem here was that this was global and this was not binded with this handle click. So now we'll bind this. So bind keyword is again a JavaScript thing, and it's a JavaScript function. So this thing is very complicated, and I think I will take some class on this also sometime. Okay, so this is there. Now if I go back and suppose and I click here, hello JavaScript is done, and see this is the value of this, the console log is coming. So this is this value also referred to the event. So now it is not breaking. So this is one of the way. We look into 3 other ways to do the same thing. So the other way to do it is call the event handler with a arrow function, and this way we had seen earlier. This bind this I will remove. Okay, but this is required. Okay, and this is anyway required, and like this I will do arrow function. This we have already seen this way. Let me save it, refresh it, click hello JavaScript, and again the event binding is right. Okay, so this is the second method. Okay, and the third method which you will see, which we have seen earlier in earlier part of the code, and this was the first method actually, and it is used in every old kind of a code. You'll see this method a lot, and which is this dot handle click. I will make it again like this dot handle click. Okay, now here I have to do in the constructor. So this we have already seen, this dot handle click equal to this dot handle click dot bind this. Save it, cut it. So hello JavaScript, and it is doing perfectly. So this is the method number 3 which we have seen earlier also. But I will tell you about a method number 4, and this is the one which all of you should use, because this is used nowadays, and this is the most modern method, because React is also going through a change every year. So this is the most preferred way nowadays. Okay, so let me comment this bind now, and here we are calling it like this only, this dot handle click. The main thing is that instead of a normal function, I will make it an arrow function. So equal to this and arrow function, I have created it. Save it. So arrow function, the property of arrow function, this also I will take some class. So arrow function, the property of arrow function is that this is binded in this directly in that, so we don't need any bind or something like this. So if I come back, and so again that this is solved, and this is the way you should do, means you should always use a arrow function.